Pas de soleil, 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 pas de soleil.
Palma, and officially known as Palma de Mallorca, is the capital and largest city of the autonomous community of the Balearic Islands in Spain. It is situated on the south coast of Mallorca on the Bay of Palma. The Cabrera archipelago, though widely separated from Palma proper, is administratively considered part of the municipality. As of 2018, Palma Airport serves over 29 million passengers per year. History: Palma was founded as a Roman camp upon the remains of a Talaiotic settlement. The city was subjected to several Vandal raids during the fall of the Western Roman Empire, then reconquered by the Byzantine Empire, then colonized by the Moors in the 13th century, by James I of Aragon. Roman period. After the conquest of Majorca, the city was loosely incorporated into the province of Tarraconensis by 123 BC. The Romans founded two new cities: Palma on the south of the island, and Pollentia in the northeast, on the site of a Phoenician settlement. Whilst Pollentia acted as a port to Roman cities on the northwestern Mediterranean Sea, Palma was the port used for destinations in Africa, such as Carthage, and Hispania, such as Saguntum, Gades and Carthago Nova. Though present-day Palma has no significant remains from this period, occasional archaeological finds are made in city center excavations. For example, the remains of the Roman wall can be seen at Can Bordils, the municipal archive, and below it, at the Mamo Ben Farag Center. Byzantine period. Though the period between the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the Muslim conquest is not well understood, there is clear evidence of a Byzantine presence in the city, as indicated by mosaics found in the oldest parts of the cathedral, which was in early medieval times part of a Paleo-Christian temple. Muslim period. Between 902 and 1229, the city was under Islamic control. It remained the capital of the island and it was known as Medina Mallorca, which in Arabic means City of Majorca. Under the Emirate of Córdoba, the arrival of the Moors in the Balearic Islands occurred at the beginning of the 8th century. During this period, the population developed an economy based on self-sufficiency and piracy, and even showed evidence of a relative hierarchy. The dominant groups took advantage of the Byzantine withdrawal due to Islamic expansion across the Mediterranean, to reinforce their domination upon the rest of the population, thus ensuring their power in the gradual abandonment of imperial political structures. In 707, a Muslim fleet, under the command of Abd al-Ghat ibn Musa, son of the governor of Ifriqiya, Musa ibn Nusair, stopped off at the island. It appears that Abd Allah convinced the powers of the city to accept a peace treaty. This treaty was granted in exchange for a tax, respect for social, economic and political structures to the communities that subscribed to it, as well as the continuity of their religious beliefs. After 707, the city was inhabited by Christians who were nominally in allegiance to the sovereignty of the Umayyad Caliphate, yet who, de facto, enjoyed absolute autonomy. The city, being in Majorca, constituted an enclave between Western Christian and Islamic territories, and this attracted and encouraged increased levels of piracy in the surrounding waters. For wide sectors of the city's population, the sacking of ships which passed through Balearic waters was a source of riches over the next 15 decades. Eventually, continued piracy in the region led to a retaliation by Al-Andalus, which launched a naval fleet against the city and the whole of the islands. The islands were defended by the Emperor Charlemagne in 799 from a Muslim pirate incursion. In 848, 4 years after the first Viking incursions had sacked the whole island, an attack from Córdoba forced the authorities to ratify the treaty to which the city had submitted in 707. As the city still occupied an eccentric position regarding the commerce network established by the Moors in the western Mediterranean, the enclave was not immediately incorporated into Al-Andalus. While the Emirate of Córdoba reinforced its influence upon the Mediterranean, Al-Andalus increased its interest in the city. The consequence of this was the substitution of the submission treaty for the effective incorporation of the islands to the Islamic State. A squad under the command of Isam al-Jalani took advantage of instability caused by several Viking incursions and disembarked in Majorca, and after destroying any resistance, incorporated Majorca, with Palma as its capital, to the Cordoban state. The incorporation of the city into the Emirates set the basis for a new society. Commerce and manufacturing developed in a manner that was previously unknown. This caused considerable demographic growth, thereby establishing Palma de Mallorca as one of the major ports for trading goods in and out of the Emirate of Córdoba. Dayania. Balearic Taifa, 1015 to 1087. The Umayyad regime, despite its administrative centralization, mercenary army and struggle to gain wider social support, could neither harmonize the various ethnic groups inside Al-Andalus nor dissolve the old tribes which still organized sporadic ethnic fighting. During the 11th century, the caliphate's control waned considerably. Provinces broke free from the central Cordoban administration, and became effectively sovereign states, taifas, under the same governors that had been named by the last Umayyad caliphs. According to their origin, these taifas can be grouped under three broad categories: people of Arab, Berber or Slavic origin. Palma was part of the Taifa of Dayania. The founder of this state was a client of the Al-Mansur family, Mujahid ibn Yusuf ibn Ali, who could profit from the progressive crumbling of the caliphate's superstructure to gain control over the province of Dayania. Subsequently, Mujahid organized a campaign throughout the Balearic Islands to consolidate the district and incorporated it into their Taifa in early 1015. During the following years, Palma became the main port from where attacks on Christian vessels and coasts could be launched. Palma was the base from where a campaign against Sardinia was launched between 1016 and 1017, which caused the Pisans and Genoese forces to intervene. Later, this intervention set the basis for Italian mercantile penetration of the city. The Daenian dominion lasted until 1087, a period during which the city, as well as the rest of the islands, was relatively peaceful. Their supremacy at sea was still not rivaled by the Italian merchant republics, thus there were few external threats. Balearic Taifa, 1087 to 1115, and Western Mediterranean. The Banu Hud conquest of Dayania and its incorporation to the eastern district of the Taifa of Zaragoza meant the destruction of the legacy of Mujahid. The islands were freed from mainland dominion and briefly enjoyed independence, during which Palma de Mallorca was the capital. The economy during this period depended on both agriculture and piracy. In the latter 11th century, Christian commercial powers took the initiative at sea against the Muslims. After centuries of fighting defensively in the face of Islamic pressure, Italians, Catalans and Occitans took offensive action. Consequently, the benefits of piracy diminished, causing severe economic stress on the city. The clearest proof of the new ruling relation of forces, from 1090, is the crusade organized by the most important mercantile cities of the Christian states against the islands. This effort was destined to finally eradicate Muslim piracy, mainly based in Palma and surrounding havens. In 1115, Palma was sacked and later abandoned by an expedition commanded by Ramon Berenguer III the Great, Count of Barcelona and Provence, which was composed of Catalans, Pisans and other Italians, and soldiers from Provence, Corsica, and Sardinia, in a struggle to end Almoravid control. After this, the islands became part of the Almoravid dynasty. The englobement of all the Taifa to a larger state helped to re-establish a balance along the frontier that separated Western Christian states from the Muslim world. Period of the Banu Ghania, 1157 to 1203. The situation changed in the mid-12th century, when the Almoravids were displaced from Al-Andalus and Western Maghreb by the Almohad. Almoravid dominions, from 1157 on, were restricted to the Balearic Islands, with Palma again acting as the capital, governed by Muhammad ibn Ghania. Massive arrival of Al-Andalus refugees contributed to reinforce the positions of the last Almoravid legitimatists, the Banu Ghania, who, conscious of their weakness in the Western Mediterranean context, started to get closer to the growing powers represented by Italian maritime republics. Genoa and Pisans obtained in this period their first commercial concessions in the city and the rest of the islands. The Banu Ghania, taking advantage of the great loss suffered by Abu Yaqub Yusuf in the siege of Santarém, attacked Ifriqiya, where the Almohad dominion had not been consolidated yet, in the same year. However, this attack was repelled and the Almohad authorities encouraged anti-Almoravid revolts in the islands. The city was captured by the Almohads in 1203. Christian reconquest and late Middle Ages. On the 31st of December 1229, after 3 months of siege, the city was reconquered by James I of Aragon and was renamed Ciutat de Mallorca. In addition to being kept as capital of the Kingdom of Majorca, it was given a municipality that comprised the whole island. The governing arm was the University of the City and Kingdom of Majorca. After the death of James I of Aragon, Palma became joint capital of the Kingdom of Majorca, together with Perpignan. His son, James II of Majorca, championed the construction of statues and monuments in the city. Belver Castle, the churches of Saint Francis and Saint Domingo, reformed the Palace of Almudena and began the construction of the Cathedral of Majorca. In 1391, anti-Jewish riots broke out. The Jewish community of Inca was completely wiped out, as were those of Salar, Sinu, and Alcudia. In spite of the governor's prohibition on leaving the island, many Jews fled to North Africa. The remaining Jews were forced to convert under threat of death. Abraham Cresques was a 14th-century Jewish cartographer of the Majorcan Cartographic School from Palma. Cresques is credited with the authorship of the famous Catalan Atlas. The river that cut through the city gave rise to two distinct areas within the city: the Upper Town and Lower Town, depending upon which side of the river one was situated. The city's advantageous geographical location allowed it extensive commerce with Catalonia, Valencia, Provence, the Maghreb, the Italian republics and the dominions of the Great Turk, which heralded a golden age for the city. At the beginning of the 16th century, the rebellion of the Brotherhoods and the frequent attack of Turkish and Berber pirates caused a reduction of commercial activities and a huge inversion in defensive structures. As a consequence, the city entered a period of decadence that would last till the end of the 17th century. 17th to 19th centuries. The 17th century was characterized by the division of the city into two sides or gangs, named Canamunts and Canavals, with severe social and economic repercussions. During this period, the port became a haven for pirates. During the last quarter of the century, the Inquisition continued its persecution of the city's Jews, locally called Xuetas. The fall of Barcelona in 1714 meant the end of the War of the Spanish Succession and the defeat and destruction of the Crown of Aragon, and this was reflected on the Nueva Planta decrees, issued by Philip V of Spain in 1715. These occupation decrees changed the government of the island and separated it from the municipality's government of Palma, which became the official city name. By the end of the 19th century, the name Palma de Mallorca was generalized in written Spanish, although it is still colloquially named Ciutat in Catalan. In the 18th century, Charles III of Spain removed interdiction of commerce with Spanish colonies in America, and the port and commercial activity of the city grew once again. At the beginning of the 19th century, Palma became a refuge for many who had exiled themselves from the Napoleonic occupation of Catalonia and Valencia. During this period, freedom flourished, until the absolutist restoration. With the establishment of contemporary Spanish state administrative organization, Palma became the capital of the new Balearic Islands province in the 1833 territorial division of Spain. The French occupation of Algeria in the 19th century ended the fear of Maghrebi attacks in Majorca, which favored the expansion of new maritime routes, and consequently, the economic growth of the city. Modern period. Since the advent of mass tourism in the 1950s, the city has been transformed into a tourist destination and has attracted many workers from mainland Spain. This has contributed to a huge change in the city's traditions, its language, and its economic power. The boom in tourism has caused Palma to grow significantly. In 1960, Majorca received 500,000 visitors. In 1997, it received more than 6,739,700. In 2001, more than 19,200,000 people passed through Son Jon Airport near Palma, with an additional 1.5 million coming by sea. In the 21st century, urban redevelopment, by the so-called PLA mural, had attracted groups of immigrant workers from outside the European Union, especially from Africa and South America. More than half of the population works in tourism, approximately 80%, therefore being the main economic portal of Palma. Tourism has affected the rapid economic growth of Palma, making the island of Majorca wealthier compared to other regions in Spain. The second economic portal of Palma is agriculture. Main exports of Palma's agriculture are almonds, oranges, lemons and olives. The island is also gifted with a wide variety of natural resources, such as mines of copper, lead and marble. The city also has several surrounding neighborhood communities including Establiments, Nord, San Español, Cs Cases Noves, and Sa Creu Vermella. Geography. Palma is a major city and seaport located in the southwest of Mallorca, a western Mediterranean island belonging to the Balearic Islands archipelago. The land area of the city is about 21.355 square kilometers with an altitude of 13 meters above sea level. The city center of Palma is located north of the homonymous bay. The area that extends eastwards is mostly a flat, fertile plain known as SPLA. To the north and west, the city borders the Serra de Tramuntana, the island's major mountain range and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Climate. Palma has a hot summer Mediterranean climate. There is a significant maritime influence to the mild winters, but summers are warmed by the surrounding continental landmasses. These warm up the offshore sea surface temperatures compared to in an ocean, and as a result the small confines of Mallorca are still able to build up and sustain heat in spite of being on an island. There is vast seasonal lag, especially in late summer courtesy of the seawater peaking in temperatures long after the summer solstice. Population. As of the 2009 census, the population of the city of Palma proper was 401,270, and the population of the entire urban area was 550,000, making it the 12th largest urban area of Spain. By the start of 2019, the population of the city had risen to 416,065. Almost half of the total population of Mallorca lives in Palma. As of 2017, over 60,000 non-Spanish foreigners registered with the town hall lived in Palma. The registered foreign population from 2016 to 2017 declined by 832, the numerically highest decline in the Balearics. Main sites. Plaza de España. The Plaza de España is the transport hub of Palma. The Estacio Intermodal caters for buses and trains. The two old buildings are home to the Tourist Information Center, and several cafes sit either side of the two large escalators which lead into the Estacio, which sits underneath a large and popular park. On the lawns are several glass boxes, which let in light and ventilation to the station below ground. There are also train-themed playing structures, each one shaped like a train carriage and named after towns along the line of the Ferrocarril de Soler, a railway dating back to 1911 which has its Palma station right next to the park. Just down the street from here a new bus station is under construction. At the center of the plaza is a statue of James I, Conquistador of Mallorca. Cathedral area. Palma is famous for La Seu, its vast cathedral built on a previous mosque which was built atop an original Christian church. Although construction of the present cathedral began in 1229, it did not finish until 1601. Local architect Antoni Gaudí was drafted in to restore the building in 1901. The Parc de la Mar lies just south, overlooked by the great building which sits above it on the city's stone foundations. Between the two are the town walls. The Rocks. The Rocks, located a short walk from the cathedral, are a place of calm and tranquility. Old City. The Old City is a maze of streets clearly hinting at an Arab past. With the exception of a few streets and squares which allow traffic and are populated with tourists most of the time, the walkways of this city quarter are fairly narrow, quiet streets, surrounded by a diverse range of interesting buildings, the architecture of which is comparable to cities such as Florence. The majority are private houses, some of which are open to the public as discrete museums or galleries. The Old City is also home to the Ayuntament, the convent of the cathedral, and the Banis Arabs. Banis Arabs. The Banis Arabs, or Arab baths, one of the few remnants of Palma's Moorish past, are accessed via the quiet Can Serra Street near the convent of the cathedral, and include the lush gardens of Can Fontiroig, home to Sardinian warblers, house sparrows, cacti, palm trees and a wide range of flowers and ferns. The small two-roomed brick building that once housed the baths is of Byzantine origin, dating back to the 11th century and possibly once part of the home of a Muslim nobleman. The bathroom has a cupola with 5 oculi which let in dazzling light. The 12 columns holding up the small room were pillaged from an earlier Roman construction. The floor over the hypocaust has been worn away by people standing in the center, mainly to photograph the entrance and the garden beyond it. The whole room is in a rather dilapidated condition. The other room is a brick cube with a small model of the baths as they once were in the corner. Notable people. Notable people who were born in the city include the following individuals: Alex Abrines, basketball player for the Oklahoma City Thunder; Marco Asensio, footballer for Real Madrid; Concha Buca, singer; Rudy Fernandez, basketball player for Real Madrid; Ramon Lull, philosopher and writer; Jorge Lorenzo, motorcyclist and 5-time MotoGP champion. Joan Mir, motorcyclist and Moto3 and MotoGP champion. Guillermo Pont, footballer. Luis Shalom, motorcyclist. Augusti Villaranga, filmmaker. Rossi de Palma, actress. Sports. Football is the most popular sport on the island, led by the Palma-based Segunda Division club Real Mallorca, who play at the Estadi de Sant Moix, and Segunda Division B club CD Atletico Baleares. Basketball is also a popular sport. Palma's top team is CB Bahia San Agustin, which plays its home games at the 5,076 capacity Palau Municipal Desports Sant Moix. Because of its maritime location, all sea sports have also a big presence in Palma. Maybe the most important sporting event in the city is the Ciutat de Palma Prizes. Road cycling is very popular in Mallorca. An international race for professional cyclists, the Vuelta a Mallorca, is held in February, the first day of which consists of a circuit race around the streets of Palma. The city is also home to the Palma Arena, a multi-platinum venue featuring a velodrome. The arena also hosted the Battle of Surfaces tennis event. In June 2016, the city of Palma participated in the first World Company Sports Games, which included 5 days of culture, sport and inclusivity within the community of Mallorca as a whole. It was operated through the World Federation Company Sport and was promoted for both local people and tourists to come together in the city. It became a large business venture by offering packages including accommodations close to the events and additional tourism information for future events. Transport. Palma de Mallorca Metro. Mallorca Rail Network. Palma de Mallorca Airport. The city bus system, which includes a loop line through the historic center, is run by the EMT. There is also a bus system run by the TIB. This includes routes to and from the municipalities Calvia and Palma. In the city of Palma there is a fleet of 1246 taxis, all equipped with air conditioning, and most of them have a radio telephone station, with 4 existing companies: Taxis Palma Radio, Radio Taxi Ciutat, Taxi Telefono, and taxis adapted for users with reduced mobility. Until the change of color regulated through the Municipal Decree No. 19,985 of the 15th of October 1999, the taxis of Palma for 50 years had been of the characteristic black and ivory colors. Currently they are white. Twin towns, sister cities. Palma de Mallorca is twinned with Portofino, Italy, Alghero, Italy, and Naples, Italy.